everybody, I'm Kimberly Turner from cookingwithkimberly.com, and tonight I'm going to show you a really tasty recipe for some cookies. This is how to bake Haskap Oatmeal cookies. Awesome. So this is what I'm going to do first. I have 3/4 of a cup of butter and coconut oil combined. You could use all butter, you could use coconut oil, you could use peanut oil for that matter. But I'm using the harder fats today, and that's going into my mixer. So that's room temperature butter, and I'm just going to cream that up quickly. Also, I want to combine the coconut oil with the butter really well. Once that's nice and creamy, I'm just going to scrape down the sides. And you want to mix your sugars together. So I have 1/2 cup of white sugar, and I have 3/4 of a cup of packed brown sugar. And we're going to cream that together until it's nice and combined and a little bit fluffy. That looks good, so I'm just going to scrape down the sides and the beater again. Next, I'm going to add 2 eggs. I like to break them in a bowl before I add them, and I'm going to add them one at a time. I break them in the bowl to make sure that there's no shells. Now, beat that together, just stir it to combine, and then we'll add the second egg. Add the second. They are nearly where I want them to be. I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla at this point, vanilla extract. Please use the real stuff. The other stuff, the artificial, is actually a byproduct of making paper. It's called vanillin, and it smells and looks like and even kind of tastes like vanilla, but it's not, okay? Use real vanilla extract. Mix that through. Okay, I'm going to show you the consistency so that you know. It's going to be lightened in color, it's going to be fluffy, and the sugars are combined. So that's what we've got going on here right now. So I have 1 3/4 cup of flour here, and I'm going to add some things to this before I add everything to the bowl. Okay, so I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. I'm adding a teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now I'm just going to kind of mix those things together a little bit. And I'm going to add the flour maybe 1/2 or 1/3 at a time. And we're going to stir this in. Be sure you're scraping the sides of the bowl and the beater, or beaters. That way everything can more evenly combine. All right. A little bit more flour. And the last bit of flour. That looks like it's nice and combined. Scrape everything down again. Okay, so at this point, we're gonna add the cool ingredient. This is the Haskap berries. And I have mine from Haskapa. You can check them out online at haskapa.com. These are phenomenal. They are so tasty. They're dried up kind of like raisins, okay? Now, this is the dried Haskap berry. They look like an elongated, misshapen blueberry. They are maybe 1 inch long. They have that blue, frosty outside and the crimson flesh on the inside. And these guys are just dried. And they are really tasty. They're also nice and tart and a little bit tangy. Okay. So I'm going to add, to start, I'm going to add 1/4 cup. This is a 1/2 cup. So I'm going to add 1/2 of them and see how we're doing with the recipe. And I'm going to taste test just to make sure that all is the way I want it to be. So I'm going to add about 1/4 cup to start. And we can always add more if you want to, but you can never take them out. So up, and let's just stir them in on low. You don't want to beat them to death. You just want to make sure they're well combined. I think I will add the rest. That'll be 1/2 cup. All right, so I have 2 cups of oats here. You can use quick oats, you can use rolled oats, whatever you want. I'm gonna start adding these 1/2 cup at a time and stir them in. If you wanted to at this point, you can add spices to this cookie recipe. If you wanted to add cinnamon, you want to add cardamom, maybe a little bit of ginger, go ahead and do that. Today, I'm going basic. Add the rest of the oats. All right, I think that looks good. We're all combined. And I'll show you what we're dealing with here. So here you go. Here's your cookie dough ready to go. At this point, you want to make sure that you're doing a taste test to make sure that everything is sweet enough, you have enough berries, you know, the proportions are proper to your desire. So I'm going to try one, a little bit. Perfect. Now preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so I'm just taking a regular tablespoon and I'm going to form little round balls about the size of a golf ball. They don't have to be perfect. That's what's beautiful. I love oatmeal cookies that aren't perfect. So I'm probably gonna get 12 per tray. I'm using either, you can use a silicone sheet or you can use parchment. These look fantastic. And boy, are they tasty too. Just try to keep them uniform size at least. Now, depending on the size that you're using, this recipe should make 3 to 4 dozen cookies. Now, we're gonna bake these one tray at a time, and it's gonna take between 10 and 13 minutes to bake. So I'm gonna check them at 10 to make sure everything is going well. You just want them to be browned and, you know, somewhat set in the middle. So I'm just gonna use a large fork to press them down a little bit. You don't have to completely flatten them. And I have a little bit of flour here so my fork doesn't stick into the cookie. So I'm just gonna flatten it maybe halfway. If you wanted to dunk each golf ball sized ball of dough that you rolled up in some sugar before you put it onto the baking sheet, feel free to do so. I'm not doing all that today. So this is what these guys look like right now. And they're going in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Check them at 10 minutes. These guys look perfect. All right, so I checked them at 10 minutes and then I checked them at 12 minutes and I'm pretty happy with the result here. So I'm gonna leave them for 1 second while I put my other batch in the oven that I already have prepared. So 12 minutes seems to be the lucky number today, and every time you bake, it's a little bit different, right? Your atmospheric conditions, your ingredients, beautiful. So they should just slide right off. They look awesome. They're like perfectly round, beautifully browned. And I'm gonna let this tray cool for just a couple more minutes before I form some more cookies. Get your tea and coffee and milk ready. These look lovely. Here's my third dozen going in, and I've been sneaking some snacks too. These are the most perfect looking cookies. Man, they look like they came out of a package. That's how perfect they look. Now you just squish them down a little bit and they do the rest themselves. So remove them to the cooling rack and let them sit for a little while. You can eat them warm or cold. So these are a nice little change from oatmeal raisin cookies. Oatmeal Haskap cookies are gonna be one of your new favorites. These are absolutely spectacular. I'm really excited about these here. This is a baker's dream recipe. They worked perfectly. They smell delicious. They behaved exactly the way I wanted them to. Well, I can't fit any more on my cooling rack. I guess this one's mine. So there you go. There's 3 dozen, well, that one included, 3 dozen Haskap oatmeal cookies. Yay. This is still nice and warm. You can see those nice chunky Haskaps in there. They almost look like chocolate chips, don't they? You open them up, they're crispy on the outside and they're nice and chewy on the inside. Oh, that's good. Light and fluffy. So get your tea out, have a little dessert. These would be fantastic to grab in the morning, just saying. Or as a snack, you could pack it in your lunch. This would be a nice little dessert or for lunch or for dinner. Nice little treat. Those Haskap berries are so delicious. These would even be nice to use for little ice cream sandwiches. You could put some ice cream in between and squish them together and then put them back in the freezer. It'd be lovely. The kids would like them, adults would like them. They're a little bit of a conversation piece with the Haskap berries. They look so pretty. Look at that. They're just beautiful. Well, I'm gonna sit down and enjoy my cup of tea and a cookie after a hard day's work. I hope that you check out Haskapa online at haskapa.com for these dried berries. They also have juice and jam and relish and chutney and you name it, they've got it. Fantastic, really tasty stuff. If you've never tried Haskap before, you're gonna fall in love, I'm telling you. It's kind of a cross between blueberry, raspberry, elderberry, all those berries put together. Really, really fantastic, delicious fruit, okay? Anyhow, check them out online at haskapa.com. You'll be so glad you did. That's how you do it, folks. That's how you bake Haskapa oatmeal cookies. Follow me on Twitter at Cooking with Kim E with a capital E. Like the fan page at facebook.com/cookingwithkimberly. My shows are on ifood.tv/cookingwithkimberly, youtube.com/cookingwithkimberly, and you can find me syndicated on Roku. Come to my website at cookingwithkimberly.com and subscribe, interact with us, and let us know what's going down in your culinary world, all right? Be a champion in your kitchen and eat deliciously. Bye.